So, welcome to Scala Central 10. I'm going to talk about a bit about the microservices integration testing and how Docker can help you out with that. First of all, which ones of you is using Docker? Cool. SBT? Maven? Okay. Unfortunately, today I'm going to talk more about the SBT side, but there, I'm going to talk about the Maven part later. So first a bit about myself. I'm a software consultant. I'm based in London, and I've been doing software development for about 15 years. I started in the beginning as more like a full stack developer, and then later on I actually most of my projects tended to be more on the backend side, and I found Scala, or I started to do Scala about 3 years and a half ago, and before I was doing mostly Java. I'm working at this time at hotels.com in the SEM tools team. Basically, SEM stands for search engine marketing. So we have a team of SEM analysts which are creating basically for the hotels in the hotels.com website. They are creating a lot of advertising mostly with AdWords and Bing. And me and my team, what we do is basically help them with some automation tools to handle better all these big amount of data that they have to administer every day. And you can find me on Twitter, and also I have a few projects on my GitHub account, and if you want, you can send me a request to join your network on LinkedIn. A bit about multi-services architecture. I'm not going to explain what it is, but who is using it? Okay. I expected kind of a higher amount, but okay, so what is multi-services architecture? Basically, instead of building a huge monolith like Twitter started, for example, you start separating your application into smaller pieces that can be detached from one another. Basically, some microservices that you can. So the advantages of the microservices over a monolith architecture is that you can separate into reusable components. So suppose that you have some module that multiple apps can benefit. You can put that in a microservice, and then have different applications call that service. And let's say if you add more and more users meaning like other apps, you can basically granularly scale the bottleneck, meaning that your service is going to be to have like a higher load. So instead, if you would have a monolith, you would have to, let's say, put 10 more servers and have all your app eating, I don't know how much memory, I don't know how much CPU, multiplied it on these servers. Instead, you would have only this part scaled up, allowing you to respond to the higher load. Another big advantage is that you can basically scale up into different teams working on different parts of the systems. So between them being, let's say, you will have a REST API interface, and this will allow you as well to use different technologies if that's the case in your company. Now, the challenge is, compared to a monolith application, is that, well, in a monolith, let's say you have some libraries, whatever, the advantage is that you compile it, it works, it tells you, the compiler tells you, oh, here you didn't specify the right parameters, etc., or the type is different. Now, since you split it in different microservices, and yeah, all these are separate, it's not cross-compiled, right? So what do you do? And yeah, let's say if you have multiple teams, or even just within your team, you work on one service, right? And then there are 3 other services depending on that one, or 3 other teams depending on your service. If you change your API, then you will break the other services, right? So what do you do? Basically, you should write some sort of a suite of integration tests and try to run it with the dependence in such a way that you would spot whenever that happens that you broke the API, or you can at any time during your development retest if these applications, these microservices, are still compatible with each other. So basically, if you, just a few words about integration testing. Suppose that you have services S1 to N, Sn. What would you have to do? You have to set up a test environment, and then you need some test data, because of course it's not really feasible to use all the time the production data. And suppose that you write some tests, you verify some interaction, and then you run these tests and then continue until you are satisfied. Satisfied meaning that maybe you just want to test a few features, or maybe you would cover less cases. That, let's suppose that some are tested individually per service. A concrete example, suppose that we have a website with the user interface, which can be, for example, like an HTML single page, and an account service and a newsletter service. And scenario would be that the user comes to the website, and then the user would create an account. And what we want is that when the user creates the account, we want to get his email into our newsletter service registered, so that whenever we have some, I don't know, some hot deals, we can inform that user. So I'm going to split the website UI, because we're not that interested that much, but we have basically the account service that would send a request to the newsletter service, and we want to check that everything is okay with an integration test example. So the basic scenario would be that we send a request to the account service to create the user, and in the background this account service is going to send a request to subscribe this user to the newsletter service, and then we get back the user from the account service. And what we do after we verify that the user was created with the right details, we have to interrogate the newsletter service directly to verify that what we expected in this scenario really happened, right? So we do a subscriber retrieve to the newsletter service, and then we verify the response. So that's a pretty simple integration test that is proving that the interaction happened properly. Now, what kills us sometimes is the test setup. Is that what do we have to do? We have to deploy the newsletter service. We have to, okay, suppose that we have a MariaDB, there's like a port of MySQL, is the open source port of MySQL. We have a dependency on the database that we might have to initialize with some data. And then we have to deploy the account service. And then we might have to, depending on our test, on integration tests, we might have to ingest some test accounts, some test subscription in all these systems, and eventually configure the services. Like, for example, the account service has to point to the right URL to the newsletter service, right? So it's kind of a lot of work, and yeah, sometimes we don't have the time to just write around all these, do this setup manually. So Docker is a friend. What Docker does, it allows you to encapsulate your apps in lightweight containers that you can will run your applications no matter where you deploy them. So basically, once you encapsulate an application in a Docker container, you can run it on your machine, or you can deploy it to different environments like staging, production, and then it guarantees that it will run in the same way. So it abstracts all this operating system dependency, and allows you to automate the setup and the configuration for different environments. And I'm not going to get into detail here, but it's much easier to scale and deploy like different multiple instances. For example, Amazon AWS offers a lot of tools to do that. So it allows you to deploy your Docker containers on the AWS infrastructure very easily. So meet SBT Native Plugin. Basically, this is an SBT plugin that knows to do a lot of things. Basically, you can use it to build Docker containers, or in other cases, you might want to create RPM packages or Debian packages. It knows how to package your application and run it. It's very simple to, you just need to add the plugin, and then the configuration. I have to specify a base image. I chose OpenJDK Alpine because Alpine is a minimal Linux distribution, so it's about like 150 meg or even less. And this is for updating the latest. Basically, you're going to publish a Docker image, and you publish version 1.1, and this will also update the latest version, pointed to the latest published. And here, this is my project definition. Basically, this is a snippet from a multi-project SBT. And I have the other settings, common settings, blah, blah. And here, I include these Docker settings. And what I have to do, I have to expose the port, 8080. What you have to include as well, you have to enable the plugin's Java app packaging. So this will take care of packing all the libraries, creating a bash script that will start your application. You don't even have to care about. Docker plugin and the Ash script plugin, because I'm using in particular this image. This is giving some extra support for more minimal Linux distributions. There's only one command that you have to do to run to publish your images. You can publish local just to test your configuration or to use it locally. And of course, there's a bit more work, like you have to define your publishing repositories if you want to publish to a central repository, but I will not get into detail for now. You can check basically the documentation of this plugin. It's pretty much straightforward. So publish local, well, normally you shouldn't care about because this is kind of encapsulated, but this is how it looks, the Docker image generated, the Docker file generated. However, I could have written this myself, right? But what I don't want to write is I don't want to write like scripts to copy my libs, my dependencies. I let SBT and this plugin take care of this. They will just build a script, and for me, at least for now, I don't need anything on top of this. So by default, this image is going to run my application. And then how do I run it? As I told you, I have the newsletter service. Does everybody know about Docker Compose? So Docker Compose is a tool that allows you to run some Docker containers and eventually set up some links between them. And also you can inject some environment variables. Like, okay, newsletter service here, I'm using the latest image, I'm exposing these ports, and then the account DB, as I said, I have the MySQL MariaDB dependency, and the beauty part is that I can specify here, I have like a SQL file, which is running which is basically preloading this database. So by the time this container will run, it will automatically load the data. So I'll have already some test data. And this points to a specific directory. Account service, and okay, I expose another port because I want to run it locally, right? And I can specify some environment variables. I have here a specific configuration. I called it ci.conf because it's my continuous integration configuration. And I'm saying, okay, database host is account DB. And later I'm specifying a link. I want account DB, which is this, to be linked, right? So if I say database host account DB, Docker or Docker Compose, they will make it in such a way that the account DB container will be seen from the other one as account_DB. And newsletter service, of course, specified as the newsletter host. And from now, I just have to run it and run the test. I can show you a quick demo, maybe. So I have the three containers, as you can see here: account service, newsletter service, and MariaDB. And now, if I want to run the integration tests, I'm going to just copy this command. And what it did, it's like did a lot of HTTP requests, and I had some basically some integration tests, checking various stuff. I can show you maybe.
Can you scale it up a little bit?
Yeah, just a minute. Yeah, so basically a test looks like this. I'm creating a user in the account service, and then I'm waiting a bit, and I'm trying to retrieve the subscriber with the same user ID. And then I have some checks that the username is there, that it was subscribed. I'm waiting a bit here because the account service is going to take a while to send the request to the newsletter service, so I have to wait just for a bit. So if you were wondering why I specified the Docker IP environment variable, is because this is my CI conf for the test, and I have the hosts of the account and newsletter marked as pointing to Docker IP. You can find the code and the slides on my GitHub account. Basically, this is a bit of a larger project. You can find there over also some tools and some examples about how to test akka microservices. So if you're interested, you can take a look. And of course, you can contact me if you have questions.